So you saw 3 micro stories from these 3 years of activity of life agriculture. There would be many more micro stories, but at least you saw something, Okay, life agriculture started in 2019, September, and it will end actually at the end of February 2024. So today we can tell you the most of the results of the project, not everything. So it was promoted by 2 watershed management authorities, Consorzio di Bonifica dell'Emilia Centrale, the public body for which I also work, another watershed management in the province of Modena, and a research center on livestock production, and a national park. We'll see later why this partnership is quite relevant for the activity of this project. So, as you could see in the movie, the project investigates the climatic efficiency of the livestock system of the Emilian Apennines. So to better frame life agriculture activity, I would start by highlighting the relevance of the case study. According to a significant previous literature, the livestock system of the Emilian Apennines, characterized by a quite high intensity of cows, can be considered a sustainable, productive, and socio-economic model. A diffused and capillary territorial productive system constructed around the international success of a DOP product such as Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, a strong network of dairy co-ops, an agrarian system based on fodder production that seems to have found a balance with territorial resources. Going a step farther from this hypothesis, life agriculture uses this case study to question what is today a climatic efficient mountain livestock system. A research question that means, first of all, to identify and, if needed, elaborate tools and methodologies able to measure and evaluate this efficiency, but also constructing a complex discursive strategy on the present and future of this territory. In the first 2 sections of my presentation, I will put forward some useful contributions for this evaluation. In the third one, I will outline the strategies and demonstration activities carried out by life agriculture in order to improve this efficiency. Eventually, in the conclusion, I will present some scenarios that try to discuss different pathways towards the transition of this territorial livestock system. Let's start from the project territory. Its dimension, 838 hectares, is defined by the agricultural land cultivated by the 15 demo farms involved in life agriculture. As you see in the maps, farms are distributed in order to cover different conditions of soil types, altitude, rainfalls. 15 family-based farms that are representative also in terms of farm size, social composition, farming styles, technical and managerial capacities. For each of these 15 demo farms, our staff conducted deep interview to quantify their global warming potentials linked with milk production. The slide shows the GWP values of each farm in relation with the number of animals breeded as well as the tons of milk produced. Let's move now to the set of indicators concerning soils. Also in this case, a relevant monitoring activity was carried out on more than 225 samples in order to build an updated baseline concerning soil organic carbon in different classes of land use. The result of this monitoring showed us unexpected high values of soil organic carbon. Eventually, I think it's interesting to weight these numbers by constructing a comparison between stock and flows. The CO2 saved by the organic carbon stock in the 838 hectares of cultivated land is around 22 times the CO2 emitted by the 15 annually by the 15 demo farms. The second part of my presentation provides a different set of arguments for evaluating the climatic efficiency of the livestock and agrarian system of the Emilian Apennines. In particular, I want to briefly stress the relation between soil degradation and some socio-economic and spatial structural condition of this territory. I refer to the specific property structure recurrent in these livestock farms, highly fragmented and projected thanks to mechanization at the territorial scale, a structural condition that inevitably fosters processes of marginalization in relation with increasing distance from the farm center. A process that ends up in an unbalanced distribution of capitals on agricultural soils that takes the shape, for example, of a lack of amelioration works, such as underground drainages, but also of an uneven distribution of manure to the fields. A further structural condition affecting soil degradation needs to be found in those landscape transformations functional to mechanization and specialization of further production that ended up, as you heard in the video, in compromising that hydrogeological stability that traditional agricultural landscapes had constructed over centuries. Let's take a look now to the strategies implemented by life agriculture to improve the climatic efficiency of this agrarian and livestock system. It's necessary, first of all, to introduce the agreement between project partners and demo farms that frames the entire demonstration activity within a replicable path. I refer to the Pact for Soil, the contract already introduced in the video, specifically designed by life agriculture, also in its legal framework, for supporting farmers in the production and delivery of agroclimatic services. A governance tool tested as a prototype by the project that, thanks to new funds, is expanding to more farms and more cultivated land. To understand life agriculture mitigation strategy is then necessary to frame it within what I called a rebalancing strategy of money and carbon, introduced to counteract the pathological structural condition of land marginalization that I already presented. In this slide, you can see the spatial translation of this concept in the specific case study of one of the project demo farm. Among the set of best practices tested and evaluated by life agriculture, I start from the ones concerning amelioration works, interventions coherent with the activity and mandate of the Italian Consorzi di Bonifica that life agriculture rethink through its rebalancing strategy and its aim of realizing more permanent and stable agricultural landscapes. Above these new infrastructures embedded in agricultural soil, life agriculture mitigation strategy envisages, in fact, to lay on new permanent agricultural systems based on carbon farming. I do not have time to analytically review the different set of best practices that the project tested and evaluated. I will limit myself in showing you the three most representative conditions that the project considered, each one linked with a specific land use and management intensity. In this slide, resuming the actions structuring the mitigation strategy, carbon farming practices appear functional for preserving and increasing carbon stock, but also for producing more and better forages and consequently increasing cows' productivity and climatic efficiency. In order to evaluate the results of this complex mitigation strategy, the monitoring activity was extended to the entire milk productive cycle. Let's now take a brief look on the results of the demonstration activity. Starting from soil organic carbon, the comparison between the ex-ante 2020 and the ex-post 2022 values reveals very promising results. However, the extremely short time frame between the two monitoring campaigns allows only to appreciate the starting point in the transition path of these soils. Again, the monitoring of forages produced in demo plots and their performances in the herd feeding tests give positive results. In order to evaluate the improvement in terms of climatic efficiency, the exercise we carried out was to upscale the best practices tested on demo plots to the entire farm cultivated land, taking into account agronomic rotations and farm-specific needs. This upscaling affects farm global warming potential on several different levels, mainly by introducing, as you can see in the graph at the bottom, a negative value corresponding to new carbon sequestration due to carbon farming practices, but also by increasing farm fodder self-sufficiency and by increasing cows' productivity and reducing their methane emissions. In the next slide, we see the GWP related to the unit value of milk production for the 10 farms breeding cows. All farms, beside one, decreased. Eventually, I would like to conclude this investigation on the climatic efficiency of the livestock system of the Emilian Apennines by discussing 3 scenarios. What showed so far provides, in fact, tools and indicators that allow to speculate on trend, desirable, or even conflictual scenarios regarding farms' contribution to climate change mitigation. The first scenario I present reflects on what I called the paradox of increasing productive efficiency. I'm referring to the evidence that the application of live agriculture mitigation strategy, if we assume of keeping fixed the number of animals breeded by demo farms, produced the counterintuitive result of increasing CO2 emissions compared to the 2020 situations, since animals are more efficient but also more productive. A second scenario that I called a soft pathway towards transition investigates a gradual decreasing of emissions based on the assumption of keeping fixed the 2020 value of milk produced by demo farms, but reducing the number of animals breeded. In this case, revenues will still increase, although in a slighter way compared to scenario 1, thanks to the increased fodder self-sufficiency and lower energy costs. Eventually, I would like to discuss a more desirable, but probably also more conflictual scenario. I'm referring to a stronger decrease of CO2 emissions fostered by a proactive role of farmers in assuming bold decisions towards transition. In this sense, the scenario investigates the possibility of reinvesting all the revenues coming from the increased productivity and energy efficiency in a 10% degrowth, affecting the overall milk production as well as the number of animals breeded. A scenario in which revenues remains the same as in the 2020 situation, and public subsidies can also have a role of compensation. To conclude, I would like to stress again what I think is the contribution that live agriculture can bring here today in this major forum. An analytical, conceptual, but also discursive strategy to understand and discuss the climatic efficiency of a mountain livestock system. Thank you.